It just got beautiful.
All right. I have anxiety. I decided over at the table that my story is boring and I don't want to tell it anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because that's what people with anxiety do.
Yes.
All right. So in 2003, when I was 27, I was at the tail end of my first year at university during the exam period when I broke up with my boyfriend. But don't worry, this isn't one of those I broke up with my boyfriend stories because we were asked not to do that. Basically, it was just a catalyst for a lot of the troubles that I'd been having being in a city by myself, being in what I would consider now to be dramatic poverty, a school that I had trouble adjusting to. I had a broken heater. There was a war. There was a riot at my school. A man broke into my house in the middle of the night, all of which was really stressful. So at the breakup point, I was I was in my exam period, and I managed to finish all the work that I was supposed to do, but I also couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I lost about 20 pounds in the space of 3 weeks. And at the end of that, I was very distraught. I'm just looking at her because she's like, no, it's not your turn.
She was distraught.
Anyway, so that summer, I was supposed to be taking a summer class, working in a community garden and going to work, but I found myself having the most incredible sense of dread anytime I left the house, anytime I went to do anything. So I'd try to go to my class and I'd have to leave. I'd be standing in the bathroom sweating. I felt like I was having a heart attack. These are known as panic attacks, but unfortunately I'd never had one before and I'd never met anyone who had had one before either. So I had no context for what was happening to me. I just knew that I was afraid all the time, and I found myself increasingly avoiding all the activities I was supposed to do, and running home to hide in my room. At work, I would go into the bathroom and just stand there for 20 minutes and not be able to leave. And this is how it looks for me.
So, Katie and I have been friends since we were 18. We have gone through many things together, and at that time we were neighbors and we lived across the hall from each other. And one thing that Katie and I had definitely gone through a number of times was our various breakups with different people. And so, from my perspective, it was like Katie had gone through a breakup that wouldn't stop making her sad. And so, watching her behavior and not understanding the context for it because I could not be inside her head meant that there was a lot of head shaking around why can't Katie just get over that dude Cal and move on with her life.
Right. Anyway, so that's what I was experiencing.
Hey!
What do you mean?
Keep telling your story.
All right, so that was what I was experiencing at the time. I had no name for it. Also, it's fair to note that I had never felt before that I would have a mental issue or could have a mental issue. I felt that I was extremely confident. I'd done a lot of stuff in my life that would require bravery, such as being a social worker at Jane and Finch and going to volunteer at Ground Zero. And so it was completely surprising and not part of my sense of myself that I would ever have something like panic, and I viewed it as sort of like a weird cowardice, and I couldn't really wrap my head around it. Hence stage 2. So stage 2 was when I decided that something must be wrong, and if it was wrong, it was terribly wrong. It must be something that that I'd missed before, that I had no knowledge of, like a secret, hidden, mystifying thing that happened in my past. And so, like every creative person would do, that I set out to find it. So I decided at this point that there was something wrong with my face, that my pores had enlarged to such a point that I was definitely terribly ugly, and I couldn't leave the house, and everybody who I saw would be subjected to this ugliness if I were to go there, and so I spent my time increasingly alone. I also decided that my parents, my past, and what they'd done to me was so horrific that it's no wonder it was a wonder that I was still standing as an adult, and I would sit in my apartment and think about how we moved all the time and how they were in a cult and how they were terrible, and I'd go over like small incidences from my childhood as if they had a lot of bearing on the present moment. And I decided that my destiny, my true destiny, had been thwarted by them, and that if it weren't for them, that I would have been living my life completely differently than I had been, which is why I was so panicked, because everything was so terrible and so horrible. And then at that point, it was time to go look in the mirror again and look at my face again, and there was something wrong with my face, and I knew that there was something wrong, and everybody could see it if I went outside, so I can't go outside, but I have to go outside, but I won't go outside. So then I'll go and I'll sit and I'll think about how my parents messed me up again, and that was wrong. And now I need to go and lie down in bed because I'm really tired, but I need to get up because I have a lot of stuff to do. I have to go out. I have to go out. I have to go to the garden. I have to go to the garden, but I can't go there because my face, there's something wrong with my face. It's terribly wrong, and they'll see it, and I can't do the work, so I have to go lie down again. I have to go. Actually, maybe I should get up. I think I need to paint my apartment. I think I need to change everything about this room. I think I need to go into the cupboard. I need to take all this stuff out. I should clean it. I should clean it all. It's really important. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I need to go lie down. I need to lie down. No, I need help. I think I need some help. I need someone to listen to me about all these problems that I have. But no, I don't have a problem. Actually, it's everybody else's problem. It's the problem of my parents, and it's the things that they did to me, and that's why I'm so ugly now, and that's why I'm not a Much Music VJ, and that's why I'm sitting in Montreal, in St. Henry, in this terrible apartment with all these afflictions, and I can't leave. But that makes me really tired, so I think I need to go lie down. I need to lie down. I really need to lie down.
Katie came over one day, and she told me that she thought there was something wrong with her face. She was standing in my kitchen, and she was kind of twisting her hands like that, talking about how she thought her pores were too big, and that there was something wrong, and that it was pretty wrong with her face, and she couldn't leave. As a friend, when you see your friend doing these things, there is always a small warning bell that goes off in your head that says there's something terribly wrong with this situation. But also you're a friend, and you believe your friend, and you listen to what they tell you. And so I told Katie that she should probably stop looking so closely in the mirror.
Makes a little bit of sense. Okay, so stage 3 is I can't get up. And when I say I can't get up, I mean I was lying in bed just like Brian Wilson did. And if you've never experienced this before, it's really hard to describe. It's not a lack of motivation, and it's not self-indulgence. It's more like having a fever, but the fever is only going on in your mind, so you can't actually get up the same way as if you had the flu. I read some information about this, and there's some research to indicate that people who have depression actually, as opposed to having a lack of motivation, they have too much motivation, so they're so focused on getting a particular goal or doing something in a certain way when a normal person would just give up, that it leads to them not being able to get up at all, or give up rather. So at this point, I can't get up. Miriam, I can't get out.
The problem was that I couldn't make myself believe that Katie had depression. I mean, clearly there was something wrong. There was the thing with the pores. She'd been sort of slowly taking her apartment apart piece by piece and leaving it on the floor. Still in her apartment, but not where it should have been for months. So walking through her place was a bit like negotiating a minefield. But my problem was that I didn't want Katie to have anything other than a really extended bad breakup. Because when the person that you love, who lives next to you, who you depend on for so many different things, proves to be subject to something so far beyond their control, as a friend, I became terrified that the world was not a safe place. If Katie could get hurt like this, it certainly couldn't be safe for me. We were young and we were naive. And so I did what any friend does in that situation. I tried to protect myself by telling Katie that she was going to be fine. Not because I believed that, but because I needed to believe that for myself.
All right. So stage 4, which I won't go into a lot, was that I found myself coaxed by my mother onto a bus, which I could hardly get onto, to come back to Toronto, subsequently to be hospitalized for depression. I think none of us at the time understood that something like that could happen to one of us, and so even for myself, it was really hard for me to negotiate that reality. I think it's possible that someone else could have just said to themselves, "Oh, I don't feel well, I'll go to the doctor," but for me, that wasn't possible because it just didn't resonate with my conception of myself. And so years have gone by. I have this diagnosis, and I've always struggled with it, actually. I don't see myself as someone who is in a bad mood or sucky, but there are times when I don't feel well, and a lot of times when I actually can't get up, still to this day. So I will say that it's very hard for me to not be able to trust my own perceptions of what's going on. But it's also a relief to know that I can't always trust my perception of what's going on. The end.